All right, everybody, and we are very excited for our guest here on the Mark Hoke Show. He really needs no introduction to any wrestling fans around the world. I am truly honored to have this guy on my show. He was a poster on my wall growing up, and very thrilled to have one of the guys that I honor and respect most in professional wrestling. Grew up watching him as a kid, and now he is on my show. Kevin Von Erich, welcome to the Mark Hoke Show.
Hey, Mark, it's great to be here, and thank you for inviting me.
Absolutely thrilled to have you on. And, first off, I wanted to have a little fun to start off with you because I got to talk to Bobby Fulton a while back. And one question that I said to him was, if there were a couple people that I wanted to be when I was a kid, because I started watching wrestling when I was about 12. And of course, you're a teenage boy and you see all the craziness going on. I said, I'd either want to be one of the Fantastics or one of the Von Erichs, just because of how crazy everything was back then and seeing how the fans loved him and the girls were chasing him and everything else. What was it like for you guys back then? Because you just see the fans' reactions and everything that was going on around you. What was that like for you guys to be in that craziness?
Well, it was wild, a wild way to make a living, all right. But I'd like to ask you though, how's Bobby Fulton doing? It's good to hear from that you talked to him. How's he
Yeah,
doing?
he was doing really well. Running his promotion up there in Ohio, and seemed to be was in pretty good spirits. Recovering from the cancer that he had, and doing great. He was
He
picking on my
runs.
co-host and everything. Yeah.
He's up. What town did you say? Atlanta.
He's in Ohio. Chillicothe, I think it was. Yeah, but yeah, he's doing great.
Oh, real good. Well, he was always a great worker and a great mind. I always liked him, and Tommy Rogers too. Good guys. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, yeah. Tommy Tommy passed away recently, or several years ago, maybe 4 or 5 years ago. But he was out in Hawaii, and living on Oahu, and he came and stayed with us for a while right before he died.
Oh
We're
wow.
always, yeah, it's good for us to see him. We're glad he came.
Yeah. So what was that like for you guys to with all that wildness, with all the fans and everything for you?
Well, it was. I played football, and I'd been at before crowds before, and but getting down, stripping into your underwear and being in front of crowds is a little something else that took some getting used to tell the truth, You're practically naked out there, but when you're wrestling, then you concentrate on your opponent, and that's you don't even think about that really.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, it so much comes with experience. When you're really young and get started, you're nervous before, maybe you can't eat the night before or even sleep very well. But as time goes on, it doesn't affect you at all. Just get right over it. And the fact that you're practically naked in that ring in front of millions of people is, that goes away too. It's
Yeah.
just part of getting older. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's funny that I was just looking back and I realized that we just passed the 40th anniversary of the first annual Von Erich Parade of Champions. And I was thinking back to that time and how incredible that day was. And, take us back to that and what the emotions and everything that was going through all of your minds when, we were, obviously we're thinking about David and, Kerry winning the championship and everything that went into that day.
Yeah, it was a sad day, and it's hard to, get your mind into wanting to wrestle when you've, been wounded like that deep, but once something like that hits you, you're kind of, when you're really like with Dave, it was a real blow to me, and so it was hard to get moving or and stuff, I wanted to just like stay in bed, like, because the mornings are the worst part. You think about, and but I think it's really important that to get up and start doing things so that your subconscious thoughts take over instead of what's directly on your mind, and you just get your hands busy, something manual, something like that, because you've really got to break that trend. You can't just sit there and mope. You know, you feel like it. Everything with you feels like it. It's just good to get moving again. And so, as far as we're concerned, that's what we do. We're professional wrestlers, and that meant wrestling again. You know, it was hard to do, but still, you just put your mind in your place, and really, you're glad you did it later because you know you're not thinking about your brother. You know, you're just thinking about your match and your opponent. And what you should be thinking about. And it's kind of a little vacation from the grief too. So it was hard that we were going right back into the ring, but then again, it was helpful too.
It was an incredible day, and one that I never forgot. I was, it was tough to see everything going on, but a beautiful, remembrance for David. And as time went on and everything started happening to your family after that as well. And I remember when Kerry passed away, and the news hit, and what the first thing that I thought of, being such a big fan of your family and you, after I heard the news, I thought, oh my God, this happened. And then I thought of you, and I said, oh my God, Kevin. And I thought, how is he going to get through this? And with the passing of now all of your brothers, how did you over time get through all that? Because I couldn't imagine how anybody could make it through that, and somehow you did it. How did you cope with that?
Well, tell me, Mark, when you were thinking about me, I appreciate that. Did you pray for me?
I did.
Did you pray for me,
I
Mark?
did.
I know you did, buddy, and a lot of people did, and that is what got me through it. I told you, I really, I've told people before that I was really knocked down, and to picture when you think about, grief can do that to you. It can kind of you hate the world, or where you just don't want any suffering to happen, don't want anyone else to go through what you went through, Well, and that was how it was. But people like you that were thinking about me and put me on your heart to pray for me, that's what got me through it, Mark. That people really did love me. And it's hard to see that in this world bouncing around. You wonder, do I even matter? But it's all so important. But it's so easy to get in that rut and think that things don't matter, that we're all just dust in the wind. When the opposite is so true. Every minute counts so much. The memories you make with your children and your family are what's really important. And everything else just pretty much goes by the wayside. That's what's important, is love. Love amongst your family and your kids and your brothers and sisters and all that. That's what matters. And your fans, your friends, the people that have hurt with you, that know you. I'm fortunate that I've had fans like I do, good men like you that will take your knee for me and pray for me, and ask God to, be with me. And thank you for doing that. And for everybody else listening that did that, God bless all of you so much. You saved me. Really
Now, we
did.
loved you, Kevin. We do.
Thank you.
We do. Well, and of course, now recently the Iron Claw movie came out, and I was so excited to see this movie, and it was fascinating to watch. And now, a few months have passed since this thing came out, and now that the dust has settled a little bit from it, what are your reflections on this movie after some time has gone by and you've gotten to see it and think about this a little bit? Your thoughts about the movie now, since all the hoopla's died down a little bit.
Yeah. Well, I just wanted everybody to enjoy the movie, and so I endorsed it. I thought it'd be good for wrestling, good for the business, and our family too. I never worked with WWE really for a little bit there at the very end when I sold them my shows, but never really had any big company advertising for me, or anything like that, or like putting my name out there. All the attention we got was homespun stuff. It was just word of mouth and organic. And we had a relationship with our fans. It was genuine. We really meant it. That how can you not love somebody back if somebody loves you? And it made for a close, a trusting relationship between us and our fans. That I cherished. I really did, still do, because I just think, like you said, 44 years since we started all that, and
Yeah.
or longer. But and still to have such loyalty and the fans' remembrance, a great feeling. And remember this too, and Dallas, I loved Cowboys, Cliff Harris and Charlie Waters and Mel Renfro and Cornell Green and all my heroes when I was a little boy, and Roger Staubach and all those guys. But you remember they got booed during our heyday. They went on strike and the crowd booed them, and so you say that's a pretty choosy crowd in Dallas, but what loyalty we had for our fans. It was just a genuine feeling, uh, universal feeling between us, and not just in Dallas, everywhere we go. I mean, I went to New York with Ross and Marsh the other day, and we signed autographs up there for hours. And there are more
Mhm.
fans up there than in Texas. I couldn't believe it. It was just, the line never stopped. It was just the nicest people, too. It was what that television does, just amazing.
Kind of surprised you, I guess, to a point that I mean, did you really not understand the how much people loved you around the country?
Well, Mark, and to tell the truth, I mean, my priorities are a lot different than you might think. I've got grandchildren, and even before, now when one of my grandchildren grabs my finger and says, "Granddaddy, let's go," or "Let's play monster trucks," or "Let's go ride the four-wheeler," well, I go. That's my priority now.
Hmm.
Because I've seen life, and it goes by fast, and you've got to enjoy it quick and respond quick with love first. I mean, let's face it, love is the greatest force on earth. I mean, they talk about mommies that see a car roll on top of a baby and they'll throw that car off of there. And they say, "Oh, that's adrenaline." Well, no, that's love. And God is love. And inside someone's heart, love for each other, that's kept me going and made my life where when I wake up in the morning, I'm looking forward to my day, where I had a great time today. I'm going to have another great time tomorrow. It's all because love, don't be afraid to put it out there and be first to put it out there. Just trust, trust and love the
Wow.
great life.
You're making me think of my daughter a lot right now. I got to give her an extra big hug after we get done today. That's for sure. Oh,
Well, you live a long time and things happen. And, I'm not anything special, Mark. I've had a lot of people have had worse than me, or in the life. And as you go through your life and things like that hit you and you endure through it, and you trust that a better day is coming, boy, that better day does come. You've got to trust and you've got to just continue, maintain your what strength you have over it and ask God for more. Ask God to be with you and you'll be able to conquer anything, but you don't need anyone. I mean, people out there that someone did you wrong a long time ago, think of this, forgive them. Just forgive them and love them. Look at their face and see the little child in there and you can love them. And all the hard things that they're going through, they'll melt away because when somebody hates or somebody resents, it hurts the guy that's hating, the guy that's resenting. Look at it logically and rationally. It's going to get better. Everything always has. It just seems like it won't this time, but it will. Just keep staying strong, keep doing your best, and maintain. That's
wow.
what I would say.
Of course, we're on with Kevin Von Erich on the Mark Hoke Show, and lots of words of wisdom from this man. That is for sure. Uh, Now, I wanted to ask you real quick about Chris because they had to take him out of the movie, and we heard that he was kind of amalgamated in with Mike's character a little bit, and I was surprised by that. But I knew about Chris, and I wanted to give you a chance to talk a little bit about Chris, and tell everybody a little bit about him.
Yeah,
Just
he was
to
a
get to talk
yeah,
about it to the fans.
he was a beautiful little guy. He really was. He wanted to wrestle so bad. He thought he wanted to be just like Kerry, to tell the truth, one of those big muscles, but he took uh, medicine for asthma that was called prednisone, and it's a steroid, but not like you might think. And it really stunted his growth, made his bones brittle. It gave him a moody personality, and it was yeah, in a way, his drugs did that to him, but it was just a bad choice. My mother back then was really, it's a long story, but back in those days, my dad raised me, Dave, and Kerry, he raised us rough. My dad was born in 1929. That's a depression, and you don't need to have worthless kids. You need your sons need to know to keep their word, to do what's right, to be on time. And there's some life lessons a father just has to teach his son. And a lot of people in today's world would say it sounds rough that my dad would take a leather strap to us when we messed up or when we did wrong. But let me tell you, we expected it. We knew that if we got caught, riding his cattle or whatever, we'd get it. And when we did, we got it, and it was life. I love that man. He was my father, and admire him forever. And all my brothers were the same way. We love my dad so much. I know this movie's out and it's popular, and I wanted people to enjoy it. But I want to tell you this too: it's not historical at all. That's not the way Fritz was, and that's not the way my mother was either. If one of us ever went up to her and said, "Mom, I need to talk to you," she would never have said, "Well, that's what your brothers are for. Go talk to them."
Mhm.
My mother lived for that moment to
Yeah.
sit down on our beds at night and talk to us about how our day went, and pretty much the opposite how that movie was. But it was a labor of love. The producer loved Von Erichs and did his best, but he did from England, and they didn't contact me. I don't know why, because I'd been glad to help, but they didn't, and so it kind of shows. But I've been glad to help them out.
Yeah.
And they're real nice people. So I don't want to say anything bad about them, but that's not a historical movie at all. But it's entertainment. It's based on a true story. So but we were raised rough, and I wouldn't want people to think that just because it was like that I held any hard feelings toward my dad or the fans that watched that know that Fritz was not that way. He loved us first. I mean, money was just a byproduct of what our family business was. We now like we're family, we're not perfect. I'm sure my dad made mistakes, but big mistakes, and well, he hardly paid us, but we lived with our dad. He paid for insurance, bought our cars. It was a family business, and it worked. Now we didn't live there. Once I got married, Pam and I moved out, and we got about 1980. But then so did Kerry. Kerry got married and moved out, moved down the road from me. And then Dave too moved out on 407 on the old Fort Worth Highway, and so we all lived right there together with each other. But and we were really close, but you know, we just did our best. We thought that we knew that we had fans that were kids, and we wanted to say yes sir and no sir on the air and be good examples. But let me tell you, Mark, that's tough. To
Yeah.
spend 20 years as a good example, things happen. And I mean, Kerry went through his drug thing, and that it was so public. But the media loves to build you up, and then they love to get every tumble when you come down too. It's just kind of
Yeah.
the nature of that beast. Yeah,
No doubt. Well, through all this tragedy, though, a great thing happened that your family sprung up, and you went to Hawaii, and you kind of gathered everybody back together, and Ross Marshall and your daughters, and you kept everybody together, and you guys have come out on the other end, and it's been a great story that all of you have grown together and been happy, and Ross and Marshall have succeeded and doing great. And you just moved back to Texas now too, which
yeah, yeah.
I was a little surprised to hear about that. What was behind that decision to bring everybody back to Texas?
Well, I love the ocean. I really needed that ocean, and it really did help my mind and all. I just wanted to, because I had a great family all the time. I always brought my kids with me or my wife when I could, and cost a lot of money, but we still were able to stay together, and and so we were out there, and found out that and this movie was coming out, and actually the big thing is that Marshall and Ross were they were starting to make shows in Chicago and Philadelphia and New York and LA and all. And so it was like, not LA, but all around the big wrestling towns. And so they needed to be nearer to to both west and the east coast of the United States, and Chicago or Dallas, kind of a central country. Of course, they wanted to live in Texas, and so Ross bought this ranch out here, and so my boys were coming out here anyway, and I just said, "Say, if we all are going out there, I'm going to go too." I miss Texas too. I mean, I miss the coyotes howling at night, and birds along the river at night, whippoorwills and all. And I just never used to realize how much I'd miss Mexican food and Texas people, and I really did, and I loved it over there, and they're really nice. I say nice people, they're not trusting at first. You have to show that you're going to be there a while. But once I got up into the mountains, and we started our ranch up there, it was the other ranchers in the area were so nice. It was such a great, it's still my residence, I still live there. I'm going in a couple of weeks, but I just haven't been there as much with all the business we're into right now. It takes a lot of hands-on, but anytime I have spare time, I'm headed out back out there, because I've still got Benji and Malie and Lindsay and Jill and Jack, her husband Jack. And so when I go out there, I just love to stay with them, and a lot of fun. But I'm having a lot of fun here too. I've got my kids, and hunting season, and it's just great. Yeah, and loving it.
Oh, that's terrific. Well, and Kevin, unfortunately, we're out of time. I know I promised we'd let you get out of here by a certain amount of time here, but I just wanted to tell you that, you and your brothers were a great inspiration to me growing up. And I wanted to thank you for everything you did for me and for a ton of fans all across the world. And wanted to thank you for coming on the show. I do appreciate it. Of course, the Iron Claw, by the way, is streaming now on Max, so you can check that out. And Kevin, thank you so much for the time. I cannot begin to tell you what this means to me that you took the time to come on my show. And I'd love to do this again sometime, and we'll have more time to talk. I'm stumbling a little bit because this really meant the world to me. So thank you.
Well, Mark, it was my pleasure, and it was sure nice to meet you too, buddy. And I want to tell you, don't ever think that was nothing when you prayed for me when I was down, because I'm always going to remember you for it. Thank you for that too. And I mean, we'll hold our fists triumphantly. In 100 years, we'll be together, and we'll talk about it, man. We'll remember to mark this day, my birthday, May 15th, that you and I will salute. Yeah, today's my birthday.
Oh, it's your birthday. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Well, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, happy birthday.
Well, anyway,
sir.
Thank you, buddy. Thank you. But you did great today, and it was nice to meet you. And well done, man. Thanks for the prayers.
Well, thank you, and we appreciate it. And have a terrific birthday, sir. I hope you enjoy yourself, and tell the family we all said hi from Las Vegas.
I sure will. Las Vegas. Okay. Y'all have a great day out there. So long.
You got it.